Hello everyone, it's Cash here, back with another video. This is episode 4 of the Beginner Bro Scripting series, and in this one I'm going to be teaching you about object-oriented programming, tables, loops, and break and return statements. So let's get started. So we're going to open up our script, and if you didn't watch the last episodes, I do recommend go watching them unless you just want to watch this video, but yeah. Because I teach you guys about properties, about variables, and everything you need to know for this one. So you might be a little confused here. Anyways, if you don't have a script, you can just press the plus and then press script. Okay, so let's get started. So how do you make a table? So a table is another type of value, same as int values and string values like this. But it's a table. So another word for table is array, so you might hear it called that too, but here's how we're going to define it. So local array, which is another word for table, is equal to, and then you make it these little squirrely brackets on your keyboard, and you hold shift and press the regular bracket. Okay, and now we just created an array even though there's nothing in it, and this is going to store multiple values. So tables are just another way to store multiple values. Okay, and if you press enter, we can actually open it up, and then we can put values in easily like this. So I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways to put variables in. So the first one is just no key at all, and I'm going to teach you keys and indexes and values and stuff like that. So we can just put in a value like this, and you just put in a bunch of numbers or whatever you want, vector3.new if you want, all this stuff, any value you want. And then what you do is to get the variable or whatever you stored in there, you can actually do array, and then you can do dot caching. Don't do the value like that. You actually do array 1 or array 2 or array 3 or array 4, because here's what we're going to do. So arrays and tables, what this is it stores all these values, right? And if you don't give it a index, and an index is where it starts at the table, if you don't give it an index, it automatically makes one for you. So in Lua, all tables automatically start at 1, not 0 like some programming languages do, like JavaScript. So this element right here, it would actually be array 1, okay? And then this would be array 2, array 3, array 4. But what if you don't know how to get that index, right? What if you don't want to enter the number? There's actually a function for that. You can do table, which has a library of table functions, as it says here, dot find, and then you give it the table, then you give it the value that you want to find. So let's do 51, and this will return 2 because this is the second value. So if we print this and then we run the script, looks like there's an error. Type number could not be converted. Oh yeah, it is. Alright, so if we do this, as you can see, it prints 51, as you can see down here. Okay, so that's, well, it's supposed to be returning the index, but it's not. Oh, it's okay, I know why. So it is returning the index, but it's returning it into the array. So we're getting the index of the value, and then we're getting the actual value. So yeah, we actually did it right there. So anyways, it prints out 2 right here, and that is correct. It's supposed to do that because we're looking for 51, and it gives us the index of 51. So all you have to know is index is where it starts in the table, and we separate all values in arrays and tables, by commas. Okay, you can also do semicolons, but I just do commas. Alright, so let me show you guys another way to index it. So as you know, you can do array 1 or array 2 like that, And if you do that, it will print 51, as you can see here. But what if you want to just like, okay, so we're going to get into object-oriented programming. So as you can see here, we have like game.workspace, right? And you might be wondering, well, maybe, I'm not sure, but game and then dot workspace. What does that really mean? Well, game is actually a table, believe it or not. It says data model, but it's also a table. And if you do game.workspace, there's actually a way you can actually make that in a table. So what if you want to shorten that, right? So let's do this. Local G is equal to a table, and G is going to stand for game in this instance. And then we're going to have workspace like this, or W for short, is equal to another table, right? And then you can set all this stuff. So like gravity equals 196.2 right here. And you just set a value like that. And then you could do g.w.gravity. And that literally just gives you the, it's like the exact same as game.workspace. And you might be wondering, well, that doesn't really make any sense because it's not actually workspace. Well, you can actually just set it to workspace. So what if you wanted to just have like the game and have all the services like that? G.w. and then you can have everything in there. So what if you want to get the gravity? Okay, you could do the signal behavior or streaming enabled or anything you want. The primary part, the current camera. Literally, we just learned object-oriented programming in less than a minute. That's literally all it is. You use tables, and it's just really easy. Okay, so let me show you another way that you can use indexing and stuff like that. So let's say we had a bunch of player data. Okay, so players data, and we set it to a table. And this is how data stores work, by the way. So this is important for you to know. So what data stores do is you save the player's user ID, or not even their user ID. You can do whatever you want. Save a key. So it could be like this, and you just use these brackets, and then you put a value in it. So you could even do like true, just any value you want. Like, well, there's an exception, like vector3.new. Yeah, I mean, let's see if that does work. I'm not sure it will. So we'll do this equals 0, okay? And then we'll print players data vector3.new 050. Will this actually work? Because if it does, that's pretty cool. It does work. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, so you can use any value you want as the key. So that's cool. So here's how data stores work. They enter your user ID like this, and then they set it to whatever value you put it. So if you want to save the money, it puts that like 50 or whatever the money is. If you want to save a table, it does it like this, and like name, and like all this stuff. And that's exactly how a data store actually works. And then what the server does is it just grabs this off the website or the server that they hosted on, and then they just like bring it into Roblox Studio. Okay, so now you guys learned keys. So what keys are is it just anything that you put in this bracket. Okay. So now let's I'm going to teach you guys about some loops, for loops, and also while loops and all that, and also repeat. I'm going to teach you guys repeat loops, just all types of loops. So we're going to make a table real quick, and we're going to make a table that stores positions, okay? So local positions is equal to a table, okay? And then we'll do cache the king, the position of me, cache the king, would be like 100, 10, 50, 51, okay? And then another player, or just random person, equals vector3.new, like 250, 1700, why not? Okay, so now we just made a table that stores positions, okay? And you might be wondering, well, what do we do now? Well, we're going to create a for loop. So there's a bunch of different types of for loops. So you could do for I equals 1, hashtag positions. And what this does is it gets the length of the table. And then for, so I is the index, or we're just going to assume it's the index. But I can literally be whatever you want. And then we set it to a default value of 1. And then you get the length. So you could also just do like 2. And then the last value is like what you want it to add by. Okay, so I want it to add by 1, or you could do -1, but you'd have to start at 2. Okay, so we're gonna just start at 1, and then we're gonna do just do. So you put do, and what this does is it runs like code like this. Okay. And then this does kind of look confusing, so you can also just remove that because 1 is automatically there. And then we'll actually be efficient by doing hashtag positions. And the hashtag operator, that's an operator symbol. And what that does is it gets the length of a table or a string. Okay, just so you know that. Alright, so now how do we use this? So you could do print positions I, and since we start at 1, it would start at this right here, because this is also 1. The index of this is 1, and we're looping till we reach the end of the table, so that'd be 2. So this would run a total of 2 times, because as you know, all the numbers in between of 2 and 1 is 2. I mean, not in between, but just the total numbers is 1 to 2 is 2. Okay, so if we print positions I, it's going to first print 11051, and then it's going to print 250 once 1700. So let's do it. As you can see, it's going to actually print exactly what I said, or not. So, oh yeah, so here's the reason it's not printing. So since we're setting this to a key, it's not gonna work. But if we did, let's see, yeah, for loops are not gonna work like this. Like if you do a for I1 loop, it's not gonna work. But if we actually just remove this, it should work. Let's run this. Yeah, as you can see, it works now. So basically, if you do like cache the king equals that or whatever, it's not gonna work. But you can also do like 1 equals that, or 2 equals that. And this would actually work too, because that's the same as getting a key, as you can see. And you can also do like positions cache, or like anything like that. And if we set this one to cache, that would also work. Or not. Okay. Anyways, yeah, so that actually works. But now what if we want to just have a, like, what if we just want to have the key and the value? So like, what if we don't even want this I here? Okay, what if we don't want to use numbers? So there's another for loop. So you could do for key and then value, or index value, depending on what you're doing. So I forgot to tell you guys that there's 2 types of tables actually. So a regular table is just like this, where it's like cache, and then cache, or like name equals cache, or like money equals 50, right? That's a regular table. But then there's another thing called a dictionary, and that's where you define your own key. So these are automatically set to 1. The key itself is like set to 1, except for this one right here. But yeah, the key is set to 1. But on dictionaries, you're setting the key. So you could do name is equal to cache, and then you do money is equal to 50. And this is a dictionary, and this is a table. All right. Anyways, let's go back to our for loop. So we're gonna do for key value in, and in. This is a statement that basically just like, I mean, you don't really have to know what it means, but it just like uses a other function. So you could do I pairs or pairs or you know, anything you want. Okay, and pairs and I pairs, what this does is it returns, okay, so the table, there's pairs, as you can see here. So the key is one pair, and the vector 3 is the other pair. So that's 2, 2 is a pair, right? So we're going to loop through the positions. Okay, that's the table. So you put the table there that it's going to loop through. And then you just do, literally do. So you just put the do, and that's like the main statement you're going to use for loops. Okay, and now what this is doing is it's looping through every single element in the table, and it's looking at like the key. It's getting the key and it's getting the value. So if we were to just print k and then comma value to separate them, it's going to first print out cache, then vector 3.new or whatever. So printed 2, 250, 1700. So it printed this one, and then it printed cache 110.51. And you might be wondering, why did it go backwards? Let's set this one to 1 and see if that changes anything. So we're going to set that to 1. Alright, as you can see, it worked. So basically, it goes through everything with a default index first, like anything that just is a number, and then it goes back to the actual names. Mainly, I think, just because it takes longer to do the like string values, I guess. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure on the logical side, but it's just a fact. Anyways, we can also do I pairs, and what I pairs is it orders them. So if we do this now, it will say 1, 2, right? But now if we mix these up and we do 2, 1 right here, as you can see, it still does 1, 200, right? But if we remove the I, instead of I pairs, we just do pairs. It did 1, 2 again. I think it actually organizes the values, so it doesn't really matter. So if we do, yeah, let's do this. So if we just have, we'll just do a number values instead. So we'll do like 1,000, and then we'll do 250. Okay, and this one's lower. So if we do I pairs, 1, 1,000, 2, 250. So I pairs just goes from 1 to 2, and then all that, instead of just every single key in it. It just orders them all. That's all you gotta know for that. Okay, and that's enough for loops. Now we're gonna go back to tables for a second. So what if you just want to set the value of a table without having to do like anything? So you could do positions, and then you take the value, so like game equals this, or game equals that, or what if you want to do player equals game dot players dot find first shot cache king, right? Well, you can do that too. Or what if you want to insert a table at the very insert something to the table at the very end? Well, you can do table insert, and then you get the table, and then you put the value you want. Alright, there's a lot of table functions. If you want to remove something from a table, you get the table and then the index. And if you don't have the index, you can do table.find positions and then the value. Alright, and that's basically just the main functions that you need to know. There's also clone. You can clone the table. Gives you a new table. Table create. This literally just creates a table, but you can also just do this, like local t equals that. But it's a little bit different because it has two things. So you can return a new table populated with many instances of the specified value. So this is kind of cool. You can do like 100, right? And then make the value cache. So there'll be 100 caches in there. And that's actually good for like making like chance systems, like chance to be the murderer, chance to be the beast, or like whatever. And because you can just create a table and then insert that many values like immediately. Alright. That's basically it for all of those. There's for each I, but I just do a for loop. Table.pack. Basically, all this does is you enter all the values. So like 1, 5, 10, all that. And it uses the ... or I forgot what it was called. It's like the section operator. I'm not sure what it is. I forgot. I learned about it a couple like weeks ago. But yeah, this just returns a table. So that's pretty simple. There's also table unpack. And what this does is it gives you back all the elements separated. So it'd be like, you could do this, okay? So we'll just change this to local money, and we'll do 50, 100, 20, right? And then you could do local caches, or cash money, local just random money, and then other money, and then equals table.unpack money. And this will return all three of those. It's pretty cool. Alright, so let's get to the final loops and also return and break. So basically, the only loop after this that you need to know is a while loop. So a while loop is it just runs until the condition provided is false. So if we did a while true loop, it would never end because true will never be false. But here's an example of it. And if you actually ran this right now, it would crash your game. So do not do it. But if you add a task.wait, it wouldn't crash your game. Okay. And then we could actually do this. We could do while true do print running. And then this would actually just keep printing running forever, as you can see, and it goes really fast. So these are good if you have something like raycasting your game and you want it to always raycast no matter what, and if it hits you then you die or like whatever. So these are good for that. There's also other things that you can do. So we could do local I equals 100, and then while I is greater than 0 do, then I minus equals 1 task.wait. And what this will do, it will run until I is greater than, or I is less than 0, or less than or equal to 0. And then if we actually just remove, oh yeah, so it's not even doing anything. We have to print I. So this will print I until it is 0 or less, as you can see. Actually, until it is 0, because since we're only subtracting by 1, and we're only running it if I is greater than 0, then it's always going to be above 0. So as you can see, that's good for making timers and stuff. You could do like task.wait 1, and then make I 1 or I 10. And as you can see, it waits and keeps going and goes and goes until it hits 0. And boom, it finished. Okay, now you might be wondering, well, this is great. Is there any downsides? Well, yes. If you use a lot of these, it will lag your game and it will ruin performance. So always try to avoid these. Do not use while loops like forever. You can use them for like stuff like this, but never use them like forever. Like never use like a while true loop, because it will crash your, or not crash your game, but it will lower the performance of your game. Also, you could do like this, timer finished, and then I'm going to make this 5 so it goes by faster. So while loops, they yield the entire function. So this means right here that it's going to yield until finished. So once this condition is true, or once this condition is false, then it's going to just stop and it's going to go down here. Okay, so let's run this, and you'll see that it says timer finished after this hits 0. As you can see, it says timer finished because this goes down here afterwards. I'm going to teach you guys about task.spawn and other stuff in the future, so you guys will be able to learn how to continue this without having to yield the function. Alright, and now there's one last loop I have to teach you, and then we'll go into return and break. Actually, I'll teach you break right now. So what we'll do is we'll go down here, and if I is equal to 3, then break. Okay, so let's say we don't want I to be 3. Okay, and if it's 3, we'll stop the loop. So let's press run, and we'll see it go to 3, and then timer finished instantly because we stopped the loop with break. Now break works for any loop, even for loops, just so you know. Okay, we're actually going to clear this, and we're going to do the exact same thing with a repeat loop. So we're going to I to 5, and then we're going to repeat I minus equals 1, print I, test.wait 1 until I is greater, so until basically means it's like the opposite of a while loop. Not really an opposite, but it's like the opposite parameters. So a while loop runs until the condition's false, and a repeat loop goes until the condition's true. So it repeats until you can't just do repeat until I is greater than 0, because it's gonna just keep repeating actually it's gonna stop immediately. So you have to do less than or equal to 0. That way it stops at 0. So it's like the opposite of a while loop. So they're both the same, but it's just like which one do you want to choose for whatever you're using. Okay, so it works perfectly just like a while loop, but you have to use different parameters, of course. Okay, oh, this one also yields, just so you guys know, because, after this runs, this runs. Okay, so what about return? So I was going to teach you guys about that. So this is not really related to what we were just learning about, but it is useful. So we're going to create a function called get position, or actually we'll just do get name. Okay, and then we're going to create a table up here like names. Okay, and we'll do we'll add a key, and we'll do cache, or well, we don't want to do that. We'll do like 1, or actually we'll do like 1 like that. Okay, and then we'll set this to cache. Okay, we'll copy this ID by pressing copy or just Control C, and then in this function, in the parameters, we're just going to put the ID as like the parameter that we require, and we're going to do local name is equal to names names ID, and then we'll do if name then, and then we're going to do return name. Now what return does is it returns another value back to whoever called it. So this is really very useful. You guys are going to enjoy using this a lot, because you just will, trust me. And then we'll do else return nil. Okay, so basically what this entire function does is, well, let's do this down here. We'll do get name, and we'll print this. Okay, so what this is going to do, we get a table of the names, and we set the ID of this to cache. Then we create a function that runs called getName, and it needs an ID parameter. And then we have the name. We're defining the name by going through the names table, and then we use the brackets to get look for the key of the ID that was sent through. So this ID is actually like 1195181, and then that we're actually just turning it to a variable, and then the variable we're using right here, and this is actually just 1195181. All right, and then we're checking if there was that, if the name actually exists and it was in this table and we found it, then we return the name. Else, we learned about else statements in the last episode. Else, we return nil because there was no name found. You could also just do this, return name, because it returns nil either way. Or another way, you could just do this, like that, and it's way shorter. And as you can see, we just minimized so much code. So you always got to look for stuff like that. If there's a way to minimize code, you do it, because it's just so much better. Okay, and now if we actually run this, it's going to print cash. As you can see, it works. Alright guys, that's basically it for this video. You guys basically learned everything here. If you have any questions, you can join my Discord server. And yeah, that's basically it. You can also ask in the comments. Other people will help you too. And also make sure to buy my Roblox merch. It's in the description down below. And I'll like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya.